Thank you, Kate. A beautiful night at BC Place. The roof is open. In fact, weather-wise, it has been a spectacular month of September. A September to remember, except for the home team. There is one thing missing, their quarterback named Nathan Rourke. It is also National Truth and Reconciliation Night across this country. We'll see plenty of orange shirts, not just from the players. And it's so important on a day that is so important to our entire nation that we continue to be empathetic and move towards educating ourselves towards reconciliation. So important for so many reasons. Also an important night for both of these two teams. Two teams right now in opposite directions in the standings, Glenn Suter. But, you know, when you look at some of these players at the top of the receiving charts, Jalen Acklin and Dominic Rhymes, a lot to get excited about.
Yeah, number 2 and number 3 after Dalton Schoen just passed him tonight, just before this game. But Jalen Acklin coming into this week, number 1 in the CFL receiving yards. There's number 2, two top receivers in the Canadian Football League on the marquee tonight. We'll watch them close do their thing in their offices.
Rick Campbell 3-0 against his former team. He is not thrilled with the way his offense is playing right now. He still has high goals for this team regardless of who's behind center. Paul LaPolice 2-2 in his last 4, but the number that's more concerning, 6-21 in his time with Ottawa. The seat isn't warm right now. It is very, very hot in the nation's capital.
Well, both these two teams are playing a very important game tonight. Ottawa still mathematically has a chance, and BC fighting for home field in that semifinal.
Stefan Flintoff with the kickoff. Taken by Jackson Bennett on the return. He gets to the right side, finds some room, brought down close to midfield. Good starting position for the Ottawa REDBLACKS and Nick Arbuckle.
Yeah, Nick Arbuckle gets a start for Ottawa. He is 2-5 on the season in his career. This is just start number 19 for Nick Arbuckle. He's 0-1 against the BC Lions in those starts, but great field position here to get this one underway.
The 42-yard kick return by Bennett to open up this game. And again, Ottawa starts at midfield. Biggest thing for Nick Arbuckle, when he's talked about that, as he continues to build chemistry, is avoid the turnover. First play of the game, a handoff. This one to Devontae Williams. And here are your offensive starters for Ottawa, brought to you by Expedia.
Yeah, former BC Lion back in BC Place, and Hunter Stewart playing that left guard spot. And in the receiving core, of course, Jalen Acklin. He drops down to number 2 behind Dalton Schoen. We'll see if he can overtake him again in this game and take the lead in receiving yards in the CFL.
Gain of 2 brings up 2nd and 8. Passing situation for Arbuckle, drops back. Pressure is on, and Arbuckle is going to be sacked. That is Woody Barron with his first sack of the season. First time for the BC Lions. Actually not a sack. It was a 1-yard gain as Arbuckle was able to get back to the line of scrimmage, but the newest Lion making his presence felt.
Yeah, first big pass rush there from Woody Barron, who is playing his 2nd game as a BC Lion. He comes around the edge there and gets to Arbuckle, who looked like he had time initially, but didn't like what he saw downfield. Assist to the DBs back there.
Richie Leone back to punt. Terry Williams back to receive for the Lions. 33-yard punt, not much of a return, which has been a theme for BC so far. Lions will start in their own territory inside their own 25 as Vernon Adams looks for a better start in this game than he had in the last.
Yeah, I guess the question for Lions fans, and again, you know, rubber's meeting the road here. They're in a battle with Calgary for that home field advantage in the semifinal. Important game for them, important win for them. But when you compare the two games, 2 weeks ago against Calgary, in Calgary looked great. Last week, different story.
Yeah, 2 completely different performances from BC's offense, led by their quarterback. No turnovers, but no touchdowns either. They've got to find a way to move the ball, get some first downs, and give their defense a bit of a break. Adams looks to his left, where he's got Lucky Whitehead low pass, and it's incomplete.
Well, no Brian Burnham in the lineup for the BC Lions tonight. They do get Suk Chung up front. He missed 2 games with injury, but they will move Keon Hatcher from his wideout spot to Brian Burnham's spot. He played that spot when Burnham was hurt early in the season, and Jacob Scarfone will play where Hatcher played last week.
2nd and 10 for the Lions, and this is where they had the biggest challenge last week against Calgary, is finding a way to convert on 2nd down. Ottawa showing pressure. Adams escapes. Looks like he's going to keep the ball, picks up a block. He's got the first down. Still going. Doesn't take the easy way on the sideline and then slides down at the 48-yard line. A 24-yard run for big play VA.
Well, and a good start for Jacob Scarfone is getting a chance to start at that wideout spot, because you're right. I mean, Vernon Adams gets out of the pocket here and gets on the run. I think a lot of people want to see him use his legs more. He's great at it, and he gets out, but a great block up front by his wide receiver, and Scarfone just knocking down that defender to give VA some time.
Jet sweep this time for Lucky Whitehead, pickup of about 7.
Lucky Whitehead with the football.
Let's watch Jacob Scarfone. Let's go back and take another look at that. Love to see young receiver getting a chance to start to, you know, it's not a big catch, it's not a touchdown, but he'll step up and key block.
Scarfone coming into this game with 5 receptions for 51 yards on the season. Spent the 2018 and 19 seasons in Ottawa with head coach Rick Campbell. 2nd and 3 now. The Lions bring in an extra offensive lineman. Handoff to Butler, and he picks up what appears to be the first down. Keeps fighting, gets another 5 out of it as BC gets into Ottawa territory.
Well, not ever a bad idea to get James Butler involved early, get him and get that balance in the offense, and then a little RPO action, run pass option type of offense from Vernon Adams would play right into his wheelhouse. But establishing that line of scrimmage important. The leading rusher as far as sacks goes in the CFL is playing in this game for Ottawa, Lorenzo Malden.
Yeah, 24 carries for Butler in the last 2 games. They seem to have made a greater commitment to him with Vernon Adams, a quarterback. The handoff again to Butler, not much room. 2, maybe 3 yards on the play. Let's take a look at Ottawa's D. Cleon Lang with the tackle there.
That was the RPO we just saw in that last play. There's Lorenzo Malden, 12 sacks. That leads the Canadian Football League coming into this week. Their leader on defense is Avery Williams, leads in defensive tackles, leads in defensive plays. And you look back in that secondary, leader in interceptions is Money Hunter. He's a big play guy. He'll jump one on you.
2nd and 7 for Vernon Adams, a 6-play drive thus far. Adams looks to his right, pulls it down. He's going to take off again, stays on his feet, gets another first down at the 36-yard line. Adams moves the sticks for BC.
Yeah, and if he keeps running like this, he's going to force Ottawa into playing a little bit more man-to-man or dropping into zones and keeping all eyes on Adams. Early drives and early runs like this by Vernon Adams is going to change the defensive strategy possibly for Mike Benavides and the Ottawa REDBLACKS. 7-yard gain.
David Webb with the tackle on the play. Lions moving it well. This time it's Butler again. Finds a hole. Good gain on first down. Close to first down yardage as he keeps fighting. Close to 9 on the play.
Yeah, you can see a little difference in intensity. I mean, the Lions coming out in this game, you go back to that game last week against Calgary, did not have this intensity. Jordan Maximic must have been a real good week of practice. They've been saying it has been, but understanding Vernon Adams a little bit better, getting him more involved. We see a couple of RPO plays, James Butler, and just a good level of intensity right now.
A little more creativity in the run game with the amount they've been pulling linemen and some misdirection there as well. Now we've got the edge here for Antonio Pipkin. He's got the first down and more inside the 15 to the 13-yard line for the backup quarterback of BC. A 15-yard run for Pipkin.
Wow, this is just great sort of student body left. This is what you used to call back in the college days, where everyone's just going to take off to the left, and Pipkin in behind that is just going to take off and get the corner. You got to harden the edge defensively, and if you don't, and it gets soft and gets crumbly out there, Pipkin gets around the corner.
They call that the sneak sweep, and Nathan Rourke certainly had a lot of success with that early in the season. 9th play of this drive, BC 1st and 10. At their 13-yard line. Lions knocking on the door. Adams rolls to his right, has an open receiver. It is a touchdown. Keon Hatcher puts BC up 6-0.
Just a different level of intensity for the Lions tonight. They know the importance of this game, the importance of home field in the playoffs. Calgary Stampeders are sitting in Calgary right now. They got the Argos tomorrow. You know they're watching this game too to see how the Lions do. But a great opening drive for Vernon Adams, coming off a game that wasn't his best and putting together a long drive, capping it off with a TD.
9-play, 86-yard drive. Again, remember, after the change in field position, they wound up inside their own 25. Sean White with the PAT. It's up and it's good. And the Lions use almost half the quarter to take a 7-0 lead. This offense looks a lot different than it did last week. Keon Hatcher puts BC up 7-0.
Coast to coast, the CFL is Canada's game. Well, we're all pumped up.
Keon Hatcher, this is his second stint moving inside for Brian Burnham, who was injured. Looks pretty comfortable in there.
Yeah, well, against Ottawa, he was in there for Burnham as well. Had 166 yards that day, 7 targets, 7 catches in Ottawa.
Flintoff with the kickoff. This one is taken by Dedman at his own 15-yard line. Takes off to his left. He's got a crease before being brought down by Kevin Francis outside the 40-yard line. Keon Hatcher puts BC up 7-0. Ottawa tries to respond when we come back.
Keon Hatcher gets the goal, but Javon Catoy right here gets the assist with a nice down block to allow Vernon Adams to get the edge on Martin Oguike. There's the block. Vernon Adams out around the corner, and now he's got a choice. He could take off and run for a touchdown wide open, or toss it in there to Keon Hatcher. That key block off the edge to eliminate containment on the quarterback allows Vernon Adams the time to throw the strike.
A run-heavy drive for the Lions. We'll see how Ottawa responds here. The quick fake dumps it out into the flat to Jalen Acklin. Short gain on the play. Marcus Sales with the tackle.
Sione Tehema is back in at defensive end for the BC Lions. He's got 7 sacks on the season. Look for big things from him. Go back to that linebacking core. Jordan Williams back at it. Sophomore season for him. 69 defensive plays, leads their team. The straw that stirs the drink, though, is Luchez Purifoy. Plays everywhere on defense and makes plays wherever he lines up.
It's because he's got that doll on the sideline. Pennywise, 2nd and 5. That one's complete right around first down yardage. I think they've got it. Tavon Smith with the reception. Gain of 6 yards in the first down. That is Smith's first reception of the year as he fills in for Nate Bahar.
A little bit of action in front of Nick Arbuckle there, but he went through his progressions and found that dump pass.
First down of the game for the REDBLACKS. Now an inside flip to Dedman. He tries to pick up some blocks in the middle of BC's D. Good enough for a first down after a gain of 12.
I like this play. I mean, Devontae Dedman on a fly sweep. Yes, sir. Give me more of that. If you're an Ottawa fan, you love this. You're putting it in the hands of a true speedster. We've seen him run through 12 on a kick cover team and make them look like they're standing still. That's a good gain. They'll go back to that well.
Yeah, I know the hope had been to get him a little bit more involved offensively. It's tough to do because whenever he's out there, they expect him to get the ball. This time, Williams has the ball for a big gain, tries to hurdle Purifoy. Nothing doing but 19 yards. Very productive gain on first down.
Yeah, with Purifoy back at the safety spot, yeah, if he's making the tackle on a run play like this, then just off the offensive left side of the formation, they'll cut back here and then bouncing around. You get to Purifoy, you're in the secondary. It's a nice gain in the first down.
Ottawa with a good response on this drive after going down 7-0 early at the BC 25-yard line. This time the fake to Williams. Arbuckle looks left, has a completion. It's Smith again. It's another first down to the 10-yard line. Gain of 15 on the play.
Yeah, Tavon Smith wins this battle. That ball was thrown inside. And I think if you ask Nick Arbuckle on this last throw, he would say, I'd want it back, because Smith is the guy who's going to bail him out here. It was thrown inside, and there was coverage coming inside. So that inside break by Purefoy, but Smith just muscled it away from him.
Just breaks the 10-yard line, so it is first and goal from the 10. This time, the handoff to Williams, who bounces to his left, but he is brought down. That is Thibaut Tabaye, BC's global player on the defensive side of the ball.
Got a few sacks on the year.
Yeah.
Tabaye is working his way into a kind of a full-time rotation for BC. Goes for a little ride here.
Boom Guacham not in the lineup for BC today, which probably means a bit more in the way of action for Tabaye, as you mentioned, trying to get into that D-line rotation. Second and goal, and looks like we've got procedure. Boyd at the right tackle spot appeared to move early.
Illegal procedure. Ottawa number 64. 5-yard penalty. It remains second.
Self-inflicted wound there for Ottawa. Probably too much of that this season.
It is, yeah, it is, and now it makes it a second and goal, but you're outside of the 10-yard line. But up until that point, it was a great response to the touchdown drive from the Lions. That was a 9-player. Came back, can they convert here?
Second and goal from the 13. Arbuckle drops it well back. Has a receiver. It is caught. That is Williams, but he is well short of the end zone. And decision time for Paul Lapalisse, who didn't waste much time making a decision to send out the field goal unit.
Yeah, you got to take the points. And again, I know this sounds like conservative, and you're a 3-win team, and you're fighting to stay in the fight for the playoffs and possibility of that third spot in the East, but you got to take the points this early in the game. It's a sound decision.
Arbuckle deciding to check it down there rather than taking a shot at the end zone. Manny Rugamba with the tackle. And Lewis Ward on to attempt what should be a chip shot field goal. Up and through. Ottawa responds with points. It is 7-3. Vernon Adams, when we return, will try to answer for BC. You know, that last drive had to do wonders for Vernon Adams' confidence after taking 5 sacks last week and delivering no touchdowns. With more on Vernon, here's Blake Price.
Yeah, so far so good for the Lions offense. And you know what, Kelly Bates, the offensive line coach, concedes last week versus Calgary was probably that unit's worst outing of the season, but not necessarily because of the 5 sacks. He says that he even had trouble finding one of those sacks on video after the game, but he says that, you know, this is a group that he believes in, and that even by their own metrics, even though it was a bad game, this is a progressive group that sees the shades of gray rather than the rigid black and white of that position in years gone by, and believes that this group will react to the ever-changing defenses and wants them to play aggressive, be the hammer, not the nail. So look for that ahead of Vernon Adams here for the rest of the night.
And they've got one of their big hammers back in Suk Chung, who missed the last couple of games. Andrew Pearson filled in for him admirably, but I know they're happy to get the veteran back.
Yeah, and we see a little bit of run game, and run game allows them to be aggressive.
This time Adams drops straight back to pass, looks on to the left side where he finds Dominic Grimes. We talked about him in the pregame. Good start for him.
Yeah, four receivers so far this season, over 1,000 yards. 2 of them are playing tonight. Dominic Grimes is one of them, coming out of the backfield here and getting that waggle motion to the line of scrimmage. Just runs an out route on Damon Webb. Timing is there, throw is there. First catch for Dominic Grimes.
BC out to the 50. Adams drops back again. This time swings it out to Butler. Gain of about 5 on the play. We'll see where they mark it. Positive gain on first down.
Well, you know, Vernon Adams looks completely different than he did last week. And you take a look at 2 weeks ago, and the completion percentage was there, the yardage was there, the win against Calgary on the road, and then faces the same team, same defense here in BC Place at home, and the numbers completely different. But we're looking like 2 weeks ago Vernon Adams right now.
Yeah, and talking to the folks in Calgary, they didn't do a lot different between those 2 games, but yet he saw it differently. Looks like he's seeing the Ottawa defense well so far. This time he takes the shot. He's got an open receiver. It is Grimes again inside the 20.
Yeah, there seems to be just a focused demeanor about Vernon Adams tonight too. That throw was as accurate as I've seen Vernon Adams on a corner route here, a real skinny corner here to Rhymes. But look at just hitting him in stride over that left shoulder.
Gain of 36 down to the 19-yard line. BC in the score zone again. Adams with the handoff this time to Butler, but not much doing there. He fights to get back near the line of scrimmage. Well defended by Ottawa.
It was, and Lorenzo Malden steps up. I mean, he's a run stopper too. Talked to Mike Benavides about Malden and that he's really emerged. I mean, that was a run blitz. Sent some linebackers too, canceled the gaps. Malden was in the gap they were trying to run in. He said this guy has been nothing but fantastic, not only in the sack department, but also stopping the run.
Loss of 1 on the play, 2nd and 11 from the 20. Adams drops back, steps up, flips it to Butler, makes the first man miss, inside the 5, touchdown BC.
Is that a West Coast thing? What was that?
Well, Ottawa's the player named Salmon, but that kind of looked a little bit like
salmon going upstream there. There's a nice spring salmon run right out front of Stanley Park right now. And that looked like a little bit of the salmon on the run. Nice little stick a fork in it catch from James Butler, and then he just would not be denied.
Yeah, that'll hurt for Ottawa. 2nd and 11 after a good defensive play on first down to give up a touchdown there. You had an opportunity to tackle him. Sean White on for the PAT. It is up. It is good. It is 14-0 for BC. James Butler, 30 touches in the last 2 games, makes this one count. One-handed and all, the Lions back on the scoreboard. James Butler caps off a 5-play, 70-yard drive. You know, I talked about the commitment they've made to him in the last 2 weeks. It's paying off dividends right here.
All right, I love the catch. Just great confidence. I know it's just a little drop pass over the top there, but one hands and then just would not be denied to the end zone. And 2 drives, 2 possessions for Vernon Adams in the BC offense, and 2 majors.
I was just trying to stay up.
Stefan Flintoff to kick it back to Ottawa. Jackson Bennett picks it up on the bounce. We've got 2 good returns in the first 2. Can't free himself for more here. He gets to about the 32-yard line where Ottawa takes over. They responded last time. Let's see what they can do here. Arbuckle back into the game. We saw Caleb Evans warming up there on the sideline.
Yeah, we did see that. It was interesting. Caleb Evans warming up a little bit. I don't know if we'll see a little bit of Caleb Evans or if he's just trying to stay loose, but that was a good response from Nick Arbuckle until the penalty problem in the red zone.
Paul LaPolice certainly feeling the record right now. There's a long speculation about his future coming into this game. We'll see how his team responds here. The handoff again to Williams. He bounces to his left. Good gain on the play. We do have a penalty flag down. He crosses midfield before being tackled by Matthew Betts, but that one might be coming back.
Yeah, I don't think there's any question. That was from the back, or the official right at the point was at the point of attack. That'll be a holding call against Ottawa.
Holding. Ottawa number 67. 10-yard penalty will be enforced in the next quarter.
That's the end of the first quarter. BC 14-3 over Ottawa. The Lions offense looking very, very good. Lots at stake for both of these teams. Let's see how Ottawa responds when we come back here to BC Place. Let's take a look at the first quarter stats. These are the kinds of stats we saw a lot of from BC in the first 9 games.
Yeah, Vernon Adams looked great in that first quarter. He really did. He looked sharp. He looked focused. He was poised and making throws, and they got James Butler involved. So the stats there for BC, and you know, when you look at an Ottawa Redblacks team, struggling team with just 3 wins, they make those small mistakes. Inside the 10-yard line, procedure penalty. That last one on that great run to start this drive, 37 yards. That was a 27-yard run. Add on the 10-yard penalty for holding on Hunter Stewart, and it's 37 yards net taken off the board. And, you know, struggling teams make those mistakes.
Not what you want to see if you're Nick Arbuckle, opening up the second quarter with 1st and 20 from his own 28. Arbuckle 5 for 5 so far in that first quarter. Drops back the pass, has some time, checks it down to Williams again. Tackle, but still manages to stay on his feet. Gets the penalty yardage back, but not much more than that. Bola combo in for the tackle.
Yeah, get back to the original line of scrimmage and take a look at Nick Arbuckle's last 4 games. And when you think of 2 of them wins, the top 2, and then back-to-back losses to Toronto, that's put them in a precarious situation here when it comes to the playoffs.
Yeah, when you look at his numbers last week, Glenn, 23 of 37 for 231, not bad, but those 2 interceptions will kill you every time. 2nd and 10 for Arbuckle, this time to Williams again. Brought down again, short of the first down. Manny Rugamba with the tackle for BC. Maybe 2 yards short of the first down. Let's see what Paul LaPolice decides to do here. Looks like he's going to go for it. Caleb Williams checking into the game. Only a yard to go.
I was going to say, when they finally spotted the ball there, it did get to just inside of a yard. So, you know, this is a good decision. Paul LaPolice deciding to just leave his offense out there.
Evans empties out the backfield. Surges ahead, should have enough for the first down.
Caleb Evans.
And if you're just catching up on Canadian football, the starting quarterback Jeremiah Masoli for the Ottawa Redblacks hurt in week 4 against Saskatchewan, and boy, they early on these Redblacks pushed Winnipeg in their first 2 games right to the limit. I mean, there's Jeremiah here just trying to support his teammates, and the starter out there, Nick Arbuckle.
1st and 10. Ottawa manages to overcome that penalty to begin the drive. This time, another inside flip to Devontae Dedman. Picks up a block, gets across the 50 into BC territory, picks up a first down.
You know, and you think about some of these close games that Ottawa has been in, fine line between winning and losing. There's the first 2 against the best team in the league, in the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. And congratulations to them again tonight with another win over Saskatchewan, but had them at 1 possession, couldn't finish that. Some real heartbreaking losses for Paul LaPolice and these Redblacks.
Yeah, 5 one-score losses in the first 7 weeks of the season, and you lose your quarterback. Tough to recover. Williams with the handoff, has a crease. Good gain on first down, 7 yards on the play, gets near BC's 40.
5 starts in a row for Devontae Williams, and boy, I like the way he's running tonight, whether he's catching those little check down throws or just out of the backfield. Take that 27-yarder holding penalty out of it, and his numbers look pretty good already in this one. Keep feeding the rock to Devontae Williams if you're Ottawa.
7th play of this drive coming up. This time they go to Williams again. He bounces to his left, finds some room, picks up a first down. When you look at BC's defense, Glenn, they're up there near the top of the league in terms of overall rushing yards allowed, but they don't see a lot of attempts because generally they've been playing from in front. In terms of yards per carry allowed, they're actually last in the league.
Yeah, you know, well, that's an area where, you know, this team is going to be better with their linebacker rotation on that. Ryan Phillips is going to get them dialed in when it comes to stopping the run.
Jordan Williams with the tackle in the last play. This time they give again. This time he runs into a bit of a wall. Not much doing there. Gain of 1, maybe a little bit more.
Because he'll be the first to tell you, Ryan Phillips, their DC, is that last week against Calgary, Kadeem Carey, Peyton Logan both combined for over 100 yards rushing, and a big run by Logan late in that game to kind of seal the deal, and that's something that they've got to shore up for sure. Good discussion this week with Coach Phillips,
whose mother is supposed to attend today. She's his biggest critic. Arbuckle drops back to pass on 2nd and 8. This time Williams can't hang on to it. Coverage was right there. His first incompletion of the night for Nick Arbuckle.
but field goal range to now on 3rd and 9. You go out and see you can add to close the gap a little bit more. The question now for Ottawa, can they get a stop? I mean, Vernon Adams has looked great.
All right, Lewis Ward on to attempt a 44-yard field goal attempt. Leone to hold. Terry Williams deep just in case it doesn't go through. Ward's kick is wide right. Williams with the return makes one man miss. Brought down at about the 8-yard line. And the Lions managed to hold serve and stop Ottawa from scoring on this one. Lucky Whitehead and the Lions offense will try to score and make it 3 for 3 when we come back. Lucky Whitehead being escorted into BC Place with members of the Tsleil-Waututh Nation. Obviously a very important night, Truth and Reconciliation Day here across Canada. The Lions were really at the forefront of this a year ago as far as the CFL is concerned. Orange Shirt Day has become a big thing here for more than the obvious reasons with the team on the field, as we all try to educate ourselves on what is a very, very important topic.
Yeah, it really is a somber national holiday to recognize the horrible impact of the Canadian residential school system. And every child matters is not just a slogan. It's to honor the Indigenous children who never returned home and the survivors of the residential school system, one of which not far from here at Kamloops.
Yeah, certainly that story made so much news when the tragic results of that were discovered. BC now 2nd and 8 from their own 10-yard line. Pressure on Adams, who manages to escape, finds an open receiver, and that is Jacob Scarfone across the 30, brought down at the 34-yard line. Gain of 24-25 on the play as BC gets out from deep in its own territory.
Vernon Adams is moving around in the pocket nicely. Again, composure. That pocket broke down on him, but he bounces outside, and Scarfone just found that spot. Sat down in it, and the scramble rule's working for number 82.
Last week he was so uncomfortable trying to find any escape lanes, and they were there. This time, though, he looks very confident tonight in that area. BC at their own 35. The give to Butler, who cuts back. He's got some room. Picks up 7, maybe 8 yards. Out to the 43-yard line, making it 2nd and short for BC.
Yeah, coaching young kids or young quarterbacks or whatever far and where you get, it doesn't matter really the level, but when your quarterback is starting to drop his eyes too quickly to the pass rush, that's when he starts to panic and can't see those lanes because he's looking at the rush. I think right now, Vernon Adams is looking downfield, and those lanes are opening up naturally for him.
Antonio Pipkin into the game on 2nd and 2. Whitehead in motion, but he surges ahead. Pipkin should have the first down as he crosses the 45-yard line.
But, the guy got the nickname for a reason. Big play VA. I mean, he got it for a reason because he's so capable of taking off and running. Both these quarterbacks, Nick Arbuckle, Vernon Adams, I think they both realize, because they've been given lots of opportunity in the Canadian Football League, they both realize that the next handful of games for both of them, crucial when it comes to them as starters in the game.
Yeah, Adams said as much when he first got to BC. He knew what this meant in terms of how he was going to be perceived league-wide. This time the quick fake. Pressure there, so Adams pulls it down. Fumbled the ball. There was a whistle. I don't know if he was down by contact. They're saying he was down and that it's second down.
Take another look and you'll hear the whistle. Yeah, I think his knee was on the ground.
Loss of a yard on the play, so that'll qualify as a sack. It's Avery Williams with the sack on the play, bringing up 2nd and 11 for BC. Lions have scored in their first 2 possessions. They'll have to convert here. Just 2 men rushing right now. Adams can't find anybody open, and he is dropped. That is Lorenzo Malden adding to his league-leading sack total.
Well, you know, it's weird because sometimes we'll count this. First of all, it is 2 men. One guy will spy Vernon Adams. In other words, he's going to stay at the line of scrimmage, and if Vernon Adams takes off and runs, he's going to try to track him down. So it ends up being 2 men, but those 2 men are going one-on-one. You know?
Flintov into punt for the first time tonight. Dedman takes it at his own 20-yard line. Francis there with the tackle and drops him. Short gain for Devontae Dedman. Lorenzo Malden making his presence felt, his 13th sack of the season. Justin Jefferson and Marshawn Lattimore as they face off overseas Sunday 9:30 Eastern, 6:30 Pacific. And suits the Sunday night game in Tampa. I'm going to that tomorrow.
Nice.
Arbuckle incomplete, looking for Darvin Adams. I just missed the hurricane.
Yeah, it's a mess down there right now. He's watching the news. And wishing the best for all those folks down south that are trying to clean up after that hurricane hit. You know, there's players in the league right now that have family members down there.
After that incompletion, Ottawa 2nd and 10. BC showing pressure. 8-man pressure. He's got an open receiver. It is knocked away. Adams looking for the flag. Doesn't get it. Jalen Edwards-Cooper with the coverage. Let's see if Paul Lapalisse decides to challenge this.
He's listening to his spotters right now. It sounds like, or it looks like, he's got his hand on the flag, but I thought Jalen Edwards-Cooper was close on the timing.
Lapo's attempted 10 challenges so far this season. Decides not to make it 11 there. They're waiting. They're giving him every chance, and in fact, it does come out. They gave him every second before snapping the ball there.
Yeah, and you know, part of it is to get as many looks and replays to the spotters that we can get them, but let's take a look at the timing here from Jalen Edwards-Cooper. It does look, when you slow
Ottawa
it down a
is
little bit,
challenging
like
the previous play for defensive pass interference on the receiver number 1. The play will be reviewed.
When we come back, we'll find out if Edwards-Cooper got there a little early. Let's take a look and see if Edwards-Cooper got there early, Glenn.
well, it's a split second early, and you can see it in slow motion, but when you watch it in real time, fast motion here, that's not how you say it, but if you watch it live like that, it was close enough. I'm not sure there's enough.
After review by the command center, the ruling on the field stands. Ottawa's charged their first timeout.
Lapo drops to 5 for 11. I got to admit, I thought he was there early, but you know, I've always said that if you have to slow a play down that much, is it clear and obvious?
And again, that's what they have to see, enough evidence, and when you watch it in normal speed, it was bang bang and not enough to overturn.
Paul Lapalisse doesn't agree, has to give away the red flag, knows he's not going to need that anymore. And Richie Leone on to punt. Terry Williams right now is still Ottawa's leader in combined yards this season, even after being traded to BC once Devontae Dedmon got there.
You know, you'd love it. He would love to have a big return.
Over 1,300 yards acquired while with Ottawa. Takes it just outside his own 35. Not much in the way of blocking as he gets wrapped up after a gain of 5, maybe 6.
Just a barrage of hits. You know, these returners, man, you have to have courage to catch the ball and head full speed into 4, 5, 6 guys just ricocheting off everybody.
A couple of players down, including rookie defensive back Adrian Green for BC. And, you know, the one thing with the Lions, they have got nothing out of their return game this season. Even when Nathan Rourke was on and the defense was on, their teams have been a challenge, especially that part of it. They brought in Terry Williams to try to give them a spark, but there just hasn't been much there. Some friendly fire on that play. Let's send it back to the sidelines. Here's Blake Price.
Well, guys, he's an Ontario boy, but Mike Benavidez does still hold a special place in his heart for the BC Lions after almost a dozen years on the Lions coaching staff. His lone head coaching gig in the CFL is here. Calls it a special place, still has a residence here, and only wishes his Red Blacks team was in a better position than they are currently. But he was quick to point out that while with the Stampeders in 2001, that team was able to win its final 5 in order to finish at 8-10 to qualify for the playoffs, and then went on to beat Milt Stiegel's star-studded Blue Bombers in the Grey Cup. So, guys, you just never know.
Well, you got to keep hope alive, I think, is what he's trying to do. And, you know, whenever a team starts the season, you know, real slow, like they're 0-5 out of the gate, that BC Lion team is always brought up. And Coach Benavidez saying the same thing to his guys. Look, it can happen as long as mathematically you're not eliminated. Keep playing hard and then let the chips fall.
And for the most part, his defense has been solid all season long. Even Nick Arbuckle, we talked to him earlier in the week, and he talked about just finding reasons to keep hope, because he also believes in that side of the ball, that they're playing well enough to win.
Yeah, and I like some of their core pieces, like Lorenzo Malden, Avery Williams, Frankie Griffin, we haven't talked about yet, but is having a great season.
Kenny Onyeka, the injured Red Black. Adrian Green for BC. 1st and 10 for the Lions from their own 44-yard line. Adams drops back to pass. Has Lucky Whitehead in the open. Brought down at the 40-yard line. A big pickup. 26 yards on 1st down for BC.
Remember early in the 1st quarter when Blake told us about Kelly Bates' group, the O-line up front, and how they needed to protect Vernon Adams better. Watch this protection up front for those 5 guys up there in the O-line. Vernon Adams not touched, stands in there for this crossing route, layered crossing route to Lucky Whitehead.
And Lucky's had a quiet month, as many of the BC receivers have, but in the last 4 games, he hasn't had more than 4 receptions. He hasn't had more than 48 yards. They're getting him involved early. Adams drops back, swings it out to Butler, throws it a little behind him. He's hit right away. Gain of maybe 3 on the play.
Yeah, when you talk about production for receivers, it's kind of skewed. I mean, Nathan Rourke was netting almost 500 yards a game before he got hurt.
No doubt about it. That is the 3-minute warning. The Lions looking to add to their lead when we come back to BC Place.
All right, I broke. I'm the worst.
I'm not sure what's going on back there. That had to be some kind of a staring contest. It's always something when Kate's in charge. When I run the panel, it tends to go, you know, it's a little more boring, I guess, is probably the best way to describe it. Adams drops back to pass on 2nd and 7. He's got some room to escape the pocket. Looks deep. Runs. Will he catch it? He does inside the 5.
Vernon Adams is trying to get the next snap as quickly as possible so there could be no challenge here.
They don't have a challenge left.
Anyway, because Paul LaPolice lost it, but Vernon Adams is making sure. He just He just is confident, steps up, climbs the pocket there and on the run.
BC brings in an extra offensive lineman here as they got the ball first and goal from their 2-yard line. But Adams is in. It's not Pipkin in the short yardage crew quite yet. And Adams stays in the shotgun with Lucky Whitehead out to the right. This time the handoff to Butler gets stacked up right away. No gain on the play for the Lions. We have an injury on the play. I think a defender for Ottawa. Looks like Davon Coleman.
Yeah, Coach Benavides saying he was really happy with Cleon Lang and Davon Coleman rotating with Trey Hornbuckle. And that the interior of their D-line was solid. That's one of the reasons that Lorenzo Malden's had the season he's had as well, because he can work on those one-on-ones with the tackles in the league and not get double teamed or chipped. So they stuffed that up in the middle real good.
Coleman originally came into the CFL with the BC Lions. Has 4 sacks on the season so far. 2nd and 10 for BC. They now do have Pipkin in the game with Adams watching on. 2nd and goal here for BC.
Now Pipkin, when he was in that short yardage in the first quarter, got the edge. So, you know, Ottawa has tried to make adjustments since then to harden that edge, make sure they have containment, and then it becomes a leverage game over the middle.
Big play for both teams right here. If the Lions can go up 3 scores. Pipkin stays in the shotgun, but then comes under center. This time he tries to sweep to the right. Has a crease, and he's in. BC with their 3rd touchdown of the game.
I think it was the opposite direction last time, but same result to get around that edge. And Jordan Maximic has seen something through breaking down the film on these short yardage plays to get out and around the corner. Just that looks like right now Ottawa is leaving DBs out there and not widening their splits to try and stop that wide run on short yardage.
BC actually had their extra offensive lineman to the left, but decided to sweep him to the right there behind Lucky Whitehead. Sean White now on to attempt the PAT. Kick is up, and it's good. The Lions with a late touchdown here in the first half. 2:15 remaining. BC now up 21-3, and the biggest challenge right now for Ottawa might be confidence.
No question. Your self-doubt creeps in when you're down again, as Ottawa is. Let's go back to the throw. I love the composure here from Vernon Adams, stepping up, climbing the pocket like he does. Eyes up. Remember we talked about his eyes last week going to the pass rush so quickly, and then he got flustered and got in trouble. But here his eyes are up. He spots Dominic Rhymes down the rail, and Rhymes makes a nice catch, steps out of bounds, and that leads to this. Antonio Pipkin around the edge.
Lions with touchdowns on 3 of their 4 drives here in the first half. And on that drive, you saw a scramble, throw to the right to Scarfone, scramble, throw to the left there. This is the best of Vernon Adams. This is what it looks like when he's dialed in. Flintoff this time kicks to Deadman. Takes it just inside his own 20-yard line. Boy, Ottawa could sure use a return here, but they're not going to get it. Manny Rugamba with the tackle.
Now, you're right when you say that about him being on and the way he's playing tonight. Now, I know there's a ton of people across the country saying he's playing against a different team. Last week he played against the Calgary Stampeders. Different team. This week it's the Ottawa REDBLACKS and their defense. But at the same time, you're right. I mean, his poise and composure tonight and sense of urgency. There's a real jump in his step. He's avoiding the rush very well, buying himself some extra time.
And he's had a lot of success against Ottawa, 4-1 against the REDBLACKS in his career. Tied for most wins he's had against any opponent. Short gain on the play to Jalen Acklin there as Ottawa tries to respond before the first half comes to a close.
That is weird. That is quite weird that sometimes you just get in a groove against a certain team And then there's teams where you kind of always struggle and you can't figure out why, but he likes to play against Ottawa.
Well, he does. And, you know, the other team he's had 4 wins against was the Calgary Stampeders, and they turned the tables on them in the second end of the back-to-back.
That was a big win for Calgary for a lot of reasons here in Vancouver last week. They're in basically a dead heat for a home field playoff game. Looks like Winnipeg will lock up first, but that fight for home field and second place is alive and well.
Seems to be a little confusion in the BC defense with their substitutions. A lot of hands in the air wondering what's going on there after the injury leading to a sub. Arbuckle looks to pass, pressured, and it falls incomplete. BC suggesting it was his arm was hit and that it was a fumble, but the referees aren't having it. That is the third straight 2-and-out for Ottawa. Third 2-and-out in the game.
Yeah, did Nick Arbuckle change his mind in mid-throw here? Or was his arm hit? It looked, that ball just kind of, it looked like he changed his mind.
Either way, his arm was coming forward, so
yeah,
you're not going to call that. Yeah, but a lot of time left for BC here with 1:41 to go in the first half. Terry Williams at his own 25-yard line. Richie Leone on the punt. Nice punt by Leone. Pins Williams near his sideline. A 53-yard kick. But he's got some room here. Breaks a few tackles, but out comes the laundry, and that one's going back.
Rick Campbell, of course, the former head coach of the Ottawa REDBLACKS, down 9-4 is the leader of the BC Lions. And there is that fight for second and home field. The Stamps will play Toronto
illegal block
tomorrow.
BC number 44, 10-yard penalty, first down.
BC's magic number essentially 4. Any combination of 4 BC wins or Calgary losses, and they wind up taking second in the West and get to host the first playoff game since John Jennings and the BC Lions hosted Mike O'Shea and the Winnipeg Blue Bombers back in 2016.
Well, and they have the season series against Calgary. They've got the 2 games to 1. But again, that was an important win for the Stamps to come in here at BC Place and beat a very good BC Lion team.
Adams at his own 20. Lots of time left here. Ottawa just rushes 4. Adams in trouble, and he is brought down. Is it Malden again?
Malden might have got there. It was 4-man pressure, and Mike Benavides drops everybody else real deep. I mean, when you take a look at there's the 4 men up front. Now go ahead and run it. And let me show you what is available here to Vernon Adams once he comes back. Stop it there. There's a whole bunch of room because of the depth of those drops. It's basically a cover 4, which is 4 deep from the DBs. But James Butler out of the backfield looks like a real nice option in that kind of look.
Loss of 7 on the play. They gave the sack to Cleon Lang. The quick screen to Lucky Whitehead. Patrick Levels fights through the block and makes a quick tackle. BC will punt 2-and-out. Their first 2-and-out of this ball game.
Patrick Levels, I mean, I'm not sure they pick up the first down here at all, but Patrick Levels, even if Levels doesn't fight through and make this tackle, but he does. The first guy is the most important block on a play like that.
Yeah, Ottawa certainly did have numbers. First down, highly unlikely. That one almost blocked, might have been tipped. Gets out to the 40, flags come out, so there will be no yards in the play.
And a bouncing ball this year, remember, is still a 15-yard penalty for no yards. And by the way, the no yards penalties have dropped significantly because of that rule change.
Because coaches aren't willing to take the 5 yards.
Exactly.
They used to coach it. Now they're not doing that anymore.
15-yard penalty there is huge.
Looked like an Ottawa player got a hand on that one. Let's see what Andre Proulx has to say.
There is no yards on BC. It's going to be a 5-yard penalty since the ball was deflected
Okay, it was
behind
tipped.
the line of scrimmage. 5-yard penalty, first down Ottawa.
Yeah, if the ball is tipped, then it becomes that 5-yarder. But at any time the ball bounces after a clean kick or is caught in the air in the no yards is 15 this year. And that hand there made it a 5-yard penalty.
That's Brandon Galanders coming off the edge. Jordan Williams unable to contain it. Looks like we've got another penalty on the play. Nathan Cherry may have crossed early for BC. Cherry's had a very good rookie season for the Lions.
Well, great training camp. You know, I remember the guys saying coming out of camp, and you were there, saying just tough for the starters even to be blocking him. U of S product, and then you put Matthew Betts and David Menard in the rotation of the
Defensive
Canadian D
offside.
lineman.
This will be a 5-yard penalty. It remains first down.
He started the last 2 games because of the ratio change.
Well, you're looking at 14 sacks between the 3 of them. 7 from Betts.
First and 5 now. Arbuckle drops back the pass, has an open receiver. That's Justin Hardy fighting his way down to about the 12-yard line. Marcus Sales eventually makes the tackle.
Yeah, he missed a ton of games. I mean, missed basically the entire season. Real excited to get Justin Hardy back.
Gain of 19 on the play, and could the Ottawa REDBLACKS sure use a touchdown right now? Arbuckle, lots of time. Now the pocket's closing on him. Holding penalty, or flag comes out. We assume it's holding Nathan Cherry with the pressure on the play.
I think Nick Arbuckle wanted the out to the short side of the field. It looked like it was covered initially and then opened up. By then, the pocket had collapsed on him.
Had a lot of time initially.
Holding Ottawa number 57. 10-yard penalty. We're going to repeat first down.
You talked about it earlier, Suits. Penalty in key scoring situations. We saw the 5-yard procedure earlier.
57 off the edge, Azuji. Here's the out he wanted to Hardy. See how it does open up eventually, but by then the rush had got home.
First and 20 now. Ball backed up to the 23, maybe the 22-yard line. Big play here for Ottawa to get some of this back. They do not want to settle for 3 with 23 seconds to go here in the first half. Trying to figure out what's going on here as Andre Proulx goes to visit with Rick Campbell.
Well, they're talking to Rick Campbell, which means it was something that Ottawa did that is giving the Lions the choice. Let's see if this was intentional
There were
grounding
2
possibly.
fouls on the previous play. Holding 57, Ottawa's decline. Intentional grounding, Ottawa number 19. That penalty is accepted. It will be second down.
That's a big one because now you don't get the down over again here.
Yeah, and it was behind the line of scrimmage. If the ball had gone across the line of scrimmage, there doesn't have to be a player around it. It's not intentional grounding, but behind the line of scrimmage, there has to be a player near the ball.
Second and 21, and checks it down to Williams. Williams run out of bounds at about the 15-yard line. Jalen Edwards-Cooper in the area.
No hesitation. No hesitation from Coach LaPolice here to just go with the field goal team.
Well, from the 15, you probably have to, and at that point, it still becomes a 2-score game.
Yeah, I'd take the points. You still make the sound, conventional sort of wisdom decisions at this point. I mean, desperation, possibly. That may be in the second half.
Lewis Ward on to attempt a 22-yard field goal. That one goes through easily. Ottawa chips into the lead, again making it a 2-score game with 12 seconds to go in the first half. But if you're the Lions from that point, given where the starting field position was, given you had the punt deflected, that's probably a win.
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And a comfortable lead going in at halftime. Probably kneel down here a couple times or run the ball. A real safe play, and I'm sure that's the instruction from Rick Campbell to Vernon Adams. Jason Tucker, good receiver in his day. Jason Tucker loved that corner route. Ricky Ray to Jason Tucker.
Well, Jason Tucker has had a plethora of weapons to coach, and he's been pretty excited about this group.
Yeah. Who wouldn't?
Doesn't look like they're going to take a knee. Will they hand it off to Butler? No, they're going to take another shot here. Adams looks around, has a receiver. It is Hatcher who makes the catch at the 35-yard line.
Wow. I love it. I mean, why not? I mean, keep pushing, play to win, play aggressively, go after it. There's chance for a field goal, and they're going to send the field goal team out right now. Make one play down the field. If you don't, you get sacked, and then you kneel on the next play and head in at halftime. But if you can make the play down the field, you get a chance. And that corner route man, Jason Tucker, says, yeah, I coach that guy. Yeah, that's my guy.
Well, he took the post route there in double coverage, and probably taught him how to go up and make contested catches, too. We got 43-yard field goal attempt here for Sean White, trying to restore BC's lead. Kick is up, and it's good.
He's on, man. Is there another kicker in the league you'd rather have right now than Sean White?
Sean White is definitely on, and for the Lions, that is a big momentum swing back in their favor as they restore their 18-point lead.
He's only missed 2 field goals all year.
The BC Lions with an exceptional first half, close to 300 yards of offense, and they've got a big lead over Ottawa going into halftime.
And back alongside David Sanchez, Dave Naylor, Milt Stiegel, and what a wild turn at the end of that half. I don't think any of us saw it. Oh, they take a knee, they'd be fine with that lead. No, they just restored that 18-point lead and just dominating at this point in this game. Milt, let's start with Vernon Adams, because coming into this game, we said he needs to get this offense going. It was a lackluster performance against the Calgary Stampeders. He's 11 of 12, 207 with 2 TDs. He looked great in the first half.
And this is the Vernon Adams they've been waiting for, the Vernon Adams from 2019. And I know a lot of people are going to say, well, they're playing against the Ottawa REDBLACKS. Well, 2019, we saw Vernon Adams do this against each and every team. He has an ability that very few quarterbacks have. We know how mobile he is, but he's also making some plays with his arms. And these BC Lions are set to win the Grey Cup. They're not settling. That's why they gave up a first-round draft pick for Vernon Adams, for them to do this. But now he has to be consistent. We've seen this in one half. He has to come out in the second half and continue to do the same thing. But this is what they expected out of Vernon Adams, and so far, so good in this first half, Chaz.
I don't even care if he's consistent. I want him to be explosive. I mean, I get what we're saying. They want him to be, consistent. But what, you said he has a different set of skill sets, a special the special set that only a few have, and that's just his playmaking ability. I want to know what Rick Campbell said to him, because you saw before the half. Rick said something.
We're playing Ottawa now. I'm just
I thought they were going to take a knee to Case Point. They were going to take a knee, and then all of a sudden he shots out there and throws that dig to Hatcher, get them a field goal. The decisiveness that I've seen in Vernon, that's what we talked about. Whether it's decisiveness, get into his drop, it seems like deeper drops and get rid of the ball, or even the decisiveness to tuck it and run when he sees fit. And that's what makes him special. And we saw it in the first half. On first down right now, they're averaging over 6 yards of play. That's excellent. On second down, 15 yards of play. Wow. They're pretty. They're explosive and pretty efficient right now.
Yeah, with that lead they've built up, they're going to force Ottawa to be one-dimensional in the second half. And, of course, Ottawa REDBLACK fans are used to seeing a half of football without a touchdown. They saw another one tonight. The only consolation, if you're used to seeing the same thing for Ottawa all over again, you got to see a few different things tonight. They used Devontae Dedmon, their returner, out of the backfield on a few shovel passes. They threw the ball to Tavon Smith. So you're seeing a little bit of different mix. Justin Hardy gets into a play here in a moment. The former Atlanta Falcon that they got some production of early in the year. New personalities, but really same result. And you see that when BC cranked up the pass rush here, Nick Arbuckle doesn't have the time to throw. It's a hurried pass. You see a bunch of 2-and-outs there midway through the second quarter.
Right.
And BC, kind of takes the game away. And I think the trouble thing for Ottawa is they got pretty good production out of Devontae Williams in the first half. They're running back, throwing the ball to him a little bit, but they're going to be forced to push the ball down the field here in the second half with the score the way it is.
Well, and I won't ask the question, too. Is this the last half of football we see as Paul Lapalisse being the head coach? It's more
we don't
like
have enough time to answer it.
theoretical. I didn't really need a response because now I'm going to go to these highlights. So you don't have to answer the question per se.
Get it.
Hey, we got highlights coming up next. The earlier game today, Riders taking on the Bombers. First quarter action, Winnipeg driving. Zach Collaros going to roll to his right. Looks for Rasheed Bailey. Hauls it in. Well falling 36-yard touchdown Bombers. Looking to sweep the season series against their rivals. Second quarter we go. Riders ball down by 10. Cody Fajardo looks for Tevin Jones. But some confusion, and Jamal Parker going to pick it off. Fajardo 0-6 in his last 6 games against Winnipeg entering on Friday. He's never beat them. Jump over to the fourth. Riders get within 9, but Collaros sends one up for Dalton Schoen, who goes over the defender, jukes out 2 more on his way to the end zone. The rookie CFL leading 11th touchdown catch of the season. It's a new Bombers rookie record. They take this one easily, 31-13. Your final, the Bombers lock in that home field advantage in the postseason. No surprise there. For the Saskatchewan Roughriders, though, they needed this game. I mean, you look at their schedule now moving forward. They've got 2 more games against the Calgary Stampeders. They're hosting the Grey Cup, and then they come out and they have 5 turnovers in this game, Ches. It's unacceptable.
It is. On the other side, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, impressive.
True.
And in inclement weather, what travels? A running game.
Heavy football.
Yeah,
heavy football.
A running
That's
game.
what the Bombers played tonight.
Some long johns.
Yeah.
and how about big body receivers inside breaking routes? And Dalton Schoen is that. That's what you see. I mean, it's a reality. We had Andy Fantuz around here earlier. That's a guy who's a big body who played in the slot, and if he got inside of you, especially in bad weather, that's a win for the offense. You got big body guys using that frame to shield you off, and then over 100 yards for Brady Oliveira.
There's a word we don't use that often because we all got to come up with ways to describe things, but I'm going to use a real simple word: better. The Winnipeg Blue Bombers are better than the Saskatchewan Roughriders. And you saw it today in the second half.
That's why we pay the big bucks, Dave.
When Saskatchewan started to get a little bit of life, right? And Winnipeg just said, oh, yeah, okay, well, let's just put this away. And, Zach Collaros got the time to throw. He starts airing it out, and they just flipped the game on Saskatchewan in that second half once it looked like they were coming back to life.
There's some concern in Saskatchewan right now. They're on the verge of not making the playoffs. They sit a couple of games ahead of the team they're playing next week, who they're trying to cross over and take their spot from the Hamilton Tiger Cats. They lose that game because the rest of their schedule is so much tougher than Hamilton.
Calgary to close.
And then they're really panic mode.
Yeah, because Hamilton's got Ottawa to close.
And they
Saskatchewan's
got Calgary. Out of their last 10 games, they're 2-8.
Yeah.
There's some concerns there right now. There's some big concerns.
Big-time concern. I wrote that word, by the way, better. That's just outstanding analysis. 24-6, meanwhile, for the BC Lions over the Ottawa REDBLACKS. We got VA coming up right after this.
Adams escapes, doesn't take the easy way on the sideline, and then slides down, steps up, flips it to Butler, makes the first man miss, inside the 5, touchdown BC. Adams can't find anybody open, and he is dropped. Lorenzo Malden adding to his league-leading sack total.
There is no one better to break down the stats than Dave Naylor.
Kate, when the numbers on the right are roughly double the numbers on the left in the first 4 categories, you get a score of about 24-6. But the ones that really jump out to me at the bottom, they're 3 for 3 in the red zone for BC, 0 for 2 for Ottawa, 10 of 12 second down conversions, 2 of 9 for the REDBLACKS.
As promised, here's Blake Price standing by with Vernon Adams.
Vernon, was that a little bit more like it for you?
Yeah, man. You know, game's not over, though. Man, going in half, 0-0 mindset. We get the ball at half. We need to go down and score.
What do you attribute the success in that first half? Is that more just you being acclimatized?
All the fellas are locked in, man. O-line's doing a great job. Receivers are getting open, man. And I'm just doing what's asked of the play call.
And you're running the ball, too.
A little bit, yes, sir.
Enjoy it.
Thank you.
VA and Company with an 18-point lead. We will get you back to BC Place for second half action right after this.
Perfect night at BC Place and a pretty good performance by the home team as well. This is why they got Vernon Adams. Right now, let's send it down to Blake Price, who is standing by with Devontae Williams.
Down rather large here at the half, but it didn't seem like the offense was that far away. Where are you guys?
We just have to come together as a team and just play on, you know, execute on every facet of the game. Just play our game. That's it.
What's the mood in the room like right now?
We just have to come together. We got to come together. We can't bring nobody down. We have to pick everybody up and just keep moving forward.
You treat this second half like the half that is the end of your season, the potential end?
Well, we have to. Every game, we have to treat it like the playoffs right now because we have to win out just to get our opportunity. So,
good luck the rest of the way.
Thank you.
Devontae Williams had some success early on, but you know, ultimately they're going to need to push the ball down the field a little bit if they want to get back into this game. And you know, he talked about it being must-win. Ottawa is not eliminated with a loss tonight, but they may as well be, given what would have to happen for them at that point to get in.
And that look by Money Hunter really says it all. That's they've got a mountain to climb, but the one thing they got to do is get a stop, because get their defense can set the tone early in this second half, get some good field position for their offense. Now, can they do that against maybe the best half of football for Vernon Adams, certainly this season? Started out with a 9-play drive, the very first possession of the game for the Lions, ran a couple of times on the possession, and really had the back end certainly for the Red Blacks guessing as to whether or not he was going to take off and run or throw it down the field.
There has been no moment of panic for Vernon in this game. Like you look at how he did in the last game. There were moments of that. Even when he took a sack, he didn't look panicked.
No, exactly. Eyes down the field when he scrambles. Good awareness, good reads, good accuracy on the throws. I mean, again, I think it's been his best half this year.
And even that one with two defenders on the play, he gave his receiver a chance. It wasn't a reckless, careless throw. He got rewarded, and it led to a last play field goal.
You saw that focus on the interview with Blake when he said, that's just a half. It's 0-0 mindset. We're going back. We got to score. We get the ball back first. Ottawa won the toss and took the ball the first half, so the Lions will get the ball to start the second.
If you're Mike Benavides, how do you adjust to what you've seen from Vernon in that half?
Well, you got to keep him contained. First of all, he's really, done a nice job of getting outside and breaking down the defense that way. So I think first of all, Coach Benavides got to contain him, keep him in the pocket, make him throw from deep down in that pocket, and then hope that his guys in the back end, like Money Hunter, that we just saw, Damon Webb's a good player. Abdul Kenna. I mean, those are guys that can make a play on the ball and turn field position in a hurry.
Richie Leone here set to kick off with Terry Williams deep to receive for BC. Kicks it deep, a little bit short this time. Williams picks it up just inside his own 20, gets across the 30, runs into the back of some BC Lions players and gets to the 36-yard line where Vernon Adams and the BC Lions will take over.
But yeah, when you're down a few scores now, you've got to start to think about trying to generate turnovers. So, we say it as if it's an easy thing to do. I mean, the Lions know it too, so they're going to be protecting the football. But what it means is hustle to the ball. 12 hats on whoever's holding it, and then make sure you're around it in case it pops out of there.
Adams hasn't thrown an interception in his 3 games with BC thus far. Also hadn't thrown a touchdown until the first half of this game, where he's got 2. This time, the fake to Butler. Adams steps up, going deep. Lucky Whitehead is open. Lucky Whitehead has it at the Ottawa 20-yard line. Great start to the first half for the home team.
Yeah, and only that Vernon Adams was so deep and kind of thrown off his back foot that Lucky Whitehead had to wait for it to come down to him, because, again, this is Whitehead just hitting the seam. But Vernon Adams throws it off his heel here. It's a little play action. He slips, and because of that, Whitehead has to slow down and come back and get it. But still a huge gain out of the gate.
Whitehead untouched going up the middle of the field. That's probably not a guy that you want to leave. A 54-yard gain sets the Lions up in the score zone again, where they hand off to James Butler. He finds a crease, fights for the first down. He's got it inside the 10-yard line. It'll be first and goal for BC. We've got an injured Ottawa player on the field.
I think what you have to notice here is how far in behind coverage Whitehead is. I mean, we're talking a good 6-7 yards behind everybody. It wasn't off his back heel really for Vernon Adams, but he did slip as he went to initially throw that. That's what he's saying right now. And if I didn't slip, I would have hit you in stride and scored.
We'll step away. When we come back, BC tries to add to their lead. First and goal.
Frankie Griffin was the injured Ottawa Red Black, and the reason for the injury was a big block by Kent Perkins, who's going to meet him in the hole. That right tackle that's going to pull to the run side to James Butler's side, and that collision right at the point of impact. You'll see a good low angle of it here with the big tackle just lowering his shoulder. Griffin, 6 foot, 200 pounds, got the worst of that one.
Yeah, he's giving up 100 pounds on that block. BC first and goal. Butler has it, looks to bounce, gets inside the 5. Ottawa had it well defended, but Butler was able to extend and put the Lions in good field position. And Lucky Whitehead is slow to get up.
Well, he looks like he's in some discomfort too. What happened here? He's down at the bottom corner of your screen. Now he gets rolled under.
Yeah, that's Salmon at the end of that play, right in behind. Those are dangerous plays when you don't expect him coming. And the Lions speedster, who's had a big-time game, this is not what you want. You finally get your offense going. You've already lost Brian Burnham. To lose Lucky Whitehead, that would be tough.
Yeah, I know that's... Yeah, that just...
Yeah, that doesn't look good.
No.
A hush falls over the stadium here as they know the value of Lucky Whitehead to this team. Brian Burnham, who's had an injury-plagued season, doesn't want to see that. They've shown the replay up on the scoreboard, and certainly a play that did not look good.
Well, and you know, sometimes, and we'll just cross our fingers, they don't look good, and they turn out that the player's okay, and some of those ones that look almost innocent and the player sometimes gets hurt. So we'll just cross our fingers that Whitehead will be okay. And I know you've reported for him this week that they hope and are real optimistic that Brian Burnham could come back in a few weeks. So just in time for playoffs.
Yeah, absolutely. Their hope is that they can get him back maybe as soon as that final regular season game against Winnipeg. And there's also another player that they're thinking they might get back that early, if in fact they're so fortunate, that being number 12, their quarterback Nathan Rourke. But you don't want to add Lucky Whitehead's name to the infirmary list right now. But walking off without the cart, but walking off fairly gingerly here. Yeah, the way the toe goes in the ground and just the way the knee bends after landing. All right, so let's see what BC does here. Daniel Peterman checks into the game to replace Whitehead. Adams looks to his left. That pass is knocked down. He was looking for Keon Hatcher in the end zone.
Malden get it?
Looks like it was Malden.
We've got another premier pass rusher in the Canadian Football League. It's been a position where we've seen some of the greatest athletes and players played off the edge. Malden's another one.
Sean White on to attempt the field goal to give BC a 21-point lead here. The 11-yard kick is up, and it's good. Sean White continues to remain perfect on the night as BC extends its lead once again, but the big concern, Lucky Whitehead, modeling meanwhile, with a big play for Ottawa's defense.
And I were talking about this the other because he's getting ready to load up on it, so he didn't want any spoilers. Did you watch Game of Thrones?
I don't think I watched a single episode. I am so out of pre-culture or pop culture. I think the most recent series I watched regularly was Seinfeld.
Oh, hey, I've been there. It's a show about nothing.
There you go. Meanwhile, the fake Arbuckle rolls, and he has Justin Hardy. A perfect throw by Nick Arbuckle for a big gain to BC's 35-yard line.
Yeah, it's not something that we are used to seeing, really. When you see Arbuckle, he's usually in the pocket, but this is a great throw. I mean, get him out and around the corner, and again, it catches the BC defense off guard. They're not used to him throwing on the run from outside, so real accurate throw to Hardy.
Much needed jolt of energy for the Ottawa REDBLACKS here as their first possession of this half. They try to answer that last score for BC. This time another fake to Williams. Inside to Hardy again. He dives, makes the catch, rolls for a first down inside the 25.
Yeah, clearly an adjustment here. So Paul LaPolice goes in at halftime, says, okay, how are we going to get our offense going here? We got to get our quarterback and change his launch point. Change where he's throwing the ball from. So whether it's play action here and just a few steps off the tackle or full roll like we saw on the corner route to Hardy, trying to move that launch point.
Another first down. This time they give it to Williams. He finds a crease inside. Nice gain on the play. Should have another first down to about the 14-yard line.
You know, he ran well in the first half. I mean, numbers, take a look. He had 6 carries in the first half, 35 yards, and also had 35 yards receiving on some of those checkdowns, which are just extended runs, really, and nice little hole off that left side.
Ottawa 0 for 2 in the red zone. We'll see if they can capitalize here. They need this. Williams again with the handoff. Finds the left edge, cuts back, and goes down. This time a loss on the play. Sione Tuhema gets into the backfield.
Just you know, that's what you got to do, is keep it alive, keep stringing it out, as coaches will say. If you're the BC defense, keep stringing it out this way so that, you know, a guy can't find that lane to just hit it. So string it out, string it out, string it out. That's Lucas Purefoy understanding that he doesn't step up and make the tackle. If he misses, he does have the edge. Purefoy stayed wide, and his friends came and helped him.
2nd and 12. Arbuckle drops back, steps up into the pocket. He's going to keep it, but he's not going to get it. That's Woody Barron with the tackle. Keeps the gain to a minimal one, and Ottawa again is going to have to settle for a field goal attempt.
Yeah, at some point, you know, you think that they get down in this zone that they're going to probably start going 3-down football and start to go for it. But again, I think you stay within striking range. If it's a 2-point or 2-possession game, I should say, 2-possession game, you go down in a 3-minute warning in a 2-possession game, you can still come back and win it. I've seen it many times.
Well, right now, this kick, assuming it goes through, still keeps it a 3-possession game. The kick is up and good. Lewis Ward makes it 27-9. Still lots of football left to play. BC with the lead and the ball when we return. Well, this is a good sign. We just saw Lucky Whitehead on the bike. We saw him jogging around a little bit. With more on his status for tonight, here's Blake.
Yeah, guys, it looked terrible, of course, but it's gotten progressively better. The limp is gone. He's tried jogging a little bit up and down the sidelines as well. They've retaped that ankle, and I just asked him, You're ready to go, and he gave me the thumbs up. I'm going to give it a try. So Lucky Whitehead is staying in this game for now.
Wow, it looked ugly early.
Yeah, I mean, it happens. It's weird.
And you said sometimes the obvious ones tend to be the least harmful.
Just it's such a fluke sometimes. Like sometimes you see innocent hits that cost a guy a whole season, and then other times it's as ugly as we saw there with Lucky getting rolled up on, and it's like he may be okay to return at some point. Either way, I mean, even if he doesn't tonight, it looks like he will be fine. That's great news.
And he's battled hamstring and ankle injuries earlier this season. Meanwhile, Trey Hornbuckle with the tackle for loss on James Butler on that last play brings up a 2nd and 11. Ottawa's pressuring. Butler has it again. Big hit. He spins away. But a lot of Red Blacks there to limit that gain to next to nothing. Abdul Kana with the final tackle, and BC will have to punt.
There was some contact outside there. I'm not sure who brought the first hit, but it was absorbed by Butler. Danbridge right there with the first one. He didn't wrap up, but his teammates got there and rallied to it.
A lot of time left still here. 8 minutes to go in the third quarter. BC with an 18-point lead. Devontae Dedmon back to receive. Nice kick by Flintoff. Takes him back just outside his own 10. Dedmon drops it after the 57-yard kick, but now he's got some room. And a nice tackle on the play by Ben Halanek saves what could have been a big-time return. Canadian Tire Sens hockey continues tomorrow as Brady Tkachuk and the Sens face off against Nick Suzuki and the Habs. The puck drops at 7 Eastern, 9 Atlantic on TSN in the Sens and Habs region.
Hockey pool time. Hockey pool. This is where I start to send emails to guys like Ray Ferraro and guys like Dustin and guys, you might get one too. Just I need to know my list for the hockey pool.
Well, if you know me at this time of year, usually in September, I get brought back into hockey, kicking and screaming. Because it's still football season.
It's still football season. Exactly.
13-yard gain for Tavon Smith. Good gain on first down.
Nick Arbuckle's looked pretty good in this third quarter. He really has. They're moving the launch point on him, as I mentioned, but he's looking accurate.
Arbuckle this time gives to Williams, who again finds some running room on first down. Gain of 7 on the play will bring up 2nd and 3. The Lions haven't had a lot of answers against the run tonight.
Well, I'll give credit to Devontae Williams there because he's running with a purpose tonight. And you heard him talk to Blake on the sideline at halftime, basically saying, hey, we've got to play like our playoff lives are on the line, because guess what? They are. I mean, as you mentioned, they're not mathematically eliminated, but might as well be.
The give again, this time to Williams. Looks like he stopped short of the first down. Close enough for them to go for it as Caleb Williams comes onto the field on 3rd and 1.
Just short.
Big play here for Ottawa. Evans goes to the left, should have enough for the first down.
Evans keeps the football.
Yeah, I just thought, Devontae Williams is running with a great sense of purpose and trying to do his part. I mean, that's all you can really do. You're a struggling team, you're down the scoreboard, you're down the standings. So just take care of your business. And I think that's exactly what Williams has done so far in this game. Played hard, he's grinding it out.
88 yards of offense on the night for Williams. 1st and 10 this time, the fake. Now Arbuckle drops back, avoids the rush, sends it out to Tavon Smith. Gain of 15 yards, maybe 14 inside BC's 40-yard line. Tavon Smith with a bit of a breakout game tonight. Now, he certainly had a lot of success during his time in Edmonton, but release there, picked up by Ottawa, and in Nate Bahar's absence, he's been a factor tonight.
Yeah, we got a couple of nice catches. There's a nice blitz pick up to push Luchez Purefoy just beyond Arbuckle. Give him an extra second there to get it out to Smith. 15-yard gain on the play.
To BC's 37-yard line. This time they give to Williams. This time it stopped.
Yeah, Bolacumbo, he's had enough of the running with purpose thing.
Well, and how about what the Lions have been able to do with their linebacking core? We've mentioned Bo a few times, but between he and Bo Haladic and Jordan Williams, you see Lacombo right now lined up deep like a potential safety. The flexibility they have with 3 Canadian linebackers in there is pretty nice luxury.
Yeah, and all athletic too. You can play that short side. And Purefoy comes down low sometimes.
Arbuckle on 2nd and 8. There's some pressure, and this time Arbuckle is dropped.
Just tripped up.
David Menard will get credit for that.
Just got 4 down linemen for Ryan Phillips' group here, but they're split out wide, so they're putting pressure on the tackles. And Menard gets out and around Jacob Ruby.
Menard with his 6th sack of the season. Lewis Ward on to attempt the 48-yard field goal. Looks like he's got enough. This one's good, and Lewis Ward makes it a 2-score game. David Menard, his 2nd stint in BC with the Lions. He continues to make an impact, snuffing out Ottawa's last drive.
From coast to coast, the CFL is Canada's game.
Orange Shirt Day, as we all try to bring ourselves a little closer to reconciliation on a national level. Such an important day on so many levels, and it means a lot to one local Lion who's with Blake Price.
Yes, a big part of Truth and Reconciliation Day is listening, and the Lions dressing room has been listening to Jacob Furlot of the Stahelis First Nation. And Jacob, what does it mean to you, first of all, just this day in general and being a member of the BC Lions?
So Truth and Reconciliation Day, it's a bit of a heavy emotional day. Personally use it to grieve, but I also appreciate that it is a point in time where there is a huge amount of awareness being brought to the mainstream public. So for Truth and Reconciliation, we're kind of at the truth part still before the reconciliation. So, you know, we're spreading truths, and then soon we'll be able to make more concrete actions. So as BC Lions, you know, seeing Every Child Matters throughout the entire stadium, thousands of people, it's a good feeling. That's all I can say, you know.
Lucky White has been known for these grand entrances, and he made another one today, a very special one with Truth and Reconciliation Day in mind. And I know you've spoken to the club a little bit. He said he wanted to get this right and be respectful. What does it mean to see your teammates curious, wanting to know more, wanting to get it right?
Really appreciative. I feel seen. I feel heard. I've had a lot of great conversations with guys in the locker room over the season about, you know, various topics, and yeah, just very appreciative and excited about the potentials for change and growth for everyone. So I'm excited.
Thanks for doing this, man. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jake. Thank you, Blake. Dominic Grimes with the first down after the Lorenzo Malden sack. Actually coached against Jacob Furlot at W.J. Mowat High School here in British Columbia, and I know it meant a lot to him to come home, and I know that this certainly means a lot to him, as it does to any First Nations player across the CFL.
Yeah, and we can all continue to learn and understand more of our history in this country and what happened and what we can do to make it better.
As he said, we're still in the truth phase before we can get to reconciliation, and that's poignant. Very well said. Lions in midfield, the pressure closing in on Vernon Adams, and he's brought down. Patrick Levels with the big loss, as Mike Benavides starting to dial up the heat with extra men coming in.
Yeah, and that's what we talked about. An adjustment for Benavides coming in the second half was to keep Vernon Adams in the pocket. Don't let him get outside and get on the run. He's been breaking down the defense that way. So Levels loads up into the line of scrimmage. It's not the 3-man pressure package we saw. This is an extra guy, and he's free. But you see how careful he is not to get out of his lane. He had that pass rush lane. He was solid in it. And then when Vernon Adams came to him, he made the tackle.
BC converted after the last sack. Let's see if they can again, as Ottawa just brings 2. This time they swing it out again. This time it's Javon Couture fighting for yardage. Gets back to the 50. It's his first catch of the game. It's going to bring up 3rd and 5 for the Lions from the 50. And you can tell they're thinking about it right now.
They were thinking about it, but good to see Javon Couture get involved with the football in his hands. I mean, that's one thing that has changed quite drastically with the change at quarterback, and it's just a matter of Vernon Adams. It's nothing against Couture, of course. It's just that Vernon Adams getting used to him and trusting him.
BC's given up 5 sacks so far tonight as Flintoff kicks it along the ground and doesn't give Dedman a chance for a return. We've seen a little bit more of that. Penalty flag in on the play. Possible late hit here.
Not a bad idea to kick it away from Devontae Dedman. The problem with it is that you take yardage off the kick when you're trying to angle it away from a returner.
Not good at contract time for Stephen Flintoff.
Yeah, exactly. Your average drops drastically.
But truthfully, the way BC struggled in coverage, that has become a strategy for them. Kick it, let it bounce, and try to avoid the return, or at least throw off the return.
Major foul, unnecessary roughness, Ottawa number 87. After distance to the goal, this is a misconduct penalty and a first down.
That's the rookie Keaton Bruggelin out of Carleton.
Trying to make a play. But you can't push a cover guy from behind. He's just going to be to the right of your screen. You'll see him go down there, because that's a dangerous play. That's a player safety kind of penalty call, and it was made correctly there.
That pins Ottawa deep in their own end to finish up this 3rd quarter. The handoff to Williams again. That's about 3, maybe 4 yards on the play. And that is the end of the 3rd quarter. BC with a 15-point lead heading into the 4th. Nick Arbuckle, James Butler continue to duel back and forth along with Vernon Adams as the Lions try to step 1 step closer to a home playoff game. Suits, Ottawa managed to move the ball in that 3rd quarter, but they continue to have to settle for field goals.
Yeah, and that's credit to the BC defense. But I'll also give some credit here to the Ottawa defense. They've made it a 2-possession game. Just 84 yards passing in the 3rd quarter for Vernon Adams, 54 on 1 throw to Lucky Whitehead. So, you know, that one, other than that 1 throw, that 1 deep ball, Ottawa's defense is still battling.
Yeah, and certainly they've managed to get to Vernon Adams a couple of times. They've sacked him twice in this quarter as well. So if you're the Lions, how do you approach that? You're seeing a lot more pressure.
You know, I think just, you know, ball control, line of scrimmage, James Butler, RPOs, back to exactly the way you started this football game, I think is sort of got to be the Lions' mindset.
2nd and 6 for Nick Arbuckle. Looks to his right, and it is dropped. Justin Hardy that time. Unlikely he would have had the first down. There was coverage right there in the form of TJ Lee, but nonetheless, Ottawa's going to have to punt from deep in their own end. It's their 4th 2-and-out tonight.
Yeah, one of the reasons that he dropped it is he needed to spin out of it. He needed to spin out of that catch while he was making it to have a chance at getting to the first down. He knew it, and on the spin, he dropped it.
Richie Leone back to kick. Terry Williams right at midfield. BC should have good field position after this. Good hang time on that kick by Leone. Forces Williams back inside his own 50. Makes a few men miss. He's got a crease. Terry Williams against his former team gets inside the 35-yard line.
Big. That's a big momentum swinger right there. That's what special teams can do for you. That's what the Canadian Football League can feature. It's these little guys on the special teams that can make it happen and just change No, all of a sudden Ottawa was chipping away. A big punt there, a real deep punt, got him out of trouble. And this return brings it right back to the orange and black.
29-yard return, and he made a number of guys miss on his own. Look who's back here. Lucky Whitehead. That was fast.
That's great.
Oh, to be young and limber. And made of rubber. This time it's James Butler. It's a nice crease and a good gain on first down, close to 8 yards on the play.
Well, we just talked about it. And that's right back to how they started the game. RPO, James Butler, pull it if you want to pull it and get the edge, and throw on the run. And that's exactly where in this fourth quarter, Jordan Maksimic goes right back and says, let's go back to this stuff, where we have to influence the defenders, and then maybe we get, on the next play, we get Vernon Adams out and around the edge.
Javon Catoy and Joel Figueroa with the blocks on that play. Pipkin comes in with 2nd and 2 yards to go. Pipkin continues to fight, should have the first down.
You know, it's good that Lucky Whitehead's back. He is showing a little bit of a limp, and
that's just style points.
Yeah.
I was surprised that he took his cleats off and then put them back on and taped them up. Usually once they come off and any swelling comes in, you're not coming back.
You got that spat back on there. You got a new one. The spat is the tape over the shoe. Makes you look sweet, too. I mean, there is a reason for it, a real reason.
They didn't have spat when you played, did they?
Yeah.
Adams back to pass, has all sorts of time. Eventually hits Dominic Rhymes on the crosser for about 5 yards.
We did have the spat. I mean, I felt like it made me faster. But I needed a lot of help because there's no... I mean, this guy can fly, and that, you know, you can see when he breaks down, there is a little bit of a limp, so they're trying to gut it out.
Rhymes now over 100 yards, his 5th 100-yard game of the season. Yeah, he is definitely laboring right there. He is favoring that leg. Pressure coming again. Adams decides to keep it this time. Should have the first down inside the 15-yard line.
How about that, too? Just decides to lower his shoulder and go ahead and take a hit. Felt like the offense was dragging a little bit in the third quarter. He's going to take matters into his own hands, get down the field, and he just decides, I'm not going down here. I'm going to take on Money Hunter.
Patrick Levels came off the other edge, and he just said, no, enough of this. Tired of getting sacked in that third quarter. 1st and 10 for BC inside the 15. Adams, first look isn't there. Going to Whitehead. Whitehead can't really get up to make the play. I think we may have seen the last of him on this drive.
Yeah, and I think it's probably wise now to just, you know, even if the Lions settle for a field goal here on this drive, I mean, I'm not sure you want to risk.
No. A valiant effort.
Yeah, yeah. And, you know, you got to trust the doctors, trust the athlete to say, you know, he feels good. It wasn't a head issue or a neck issue. It was his leg. So it's like, if he feels like he can go, you give him a chance. But
Adams drops back to pass. Pressure coming off the edge, and he is brought down. Kenny Onyeka with the sack. And BC will have to settle for a field goal. The 6th sack of the evening for Ottawa.
Talk to Mike Benavides, and Yek coming off the edge here, and talking to Benavides about just how sort of the defensive ends rushing the quarterback has changed.
Got his hand up around Vernon Adams' head.
Major foul or scholar tackle on Ottawa. We're going to go after distance and a first down.
I was going to say there were 2 question marks there. One was the left hand on the head of Vernon Adams. The other was that horse collar. I don't think there's any question that he grabbed the shoulder pads of Vernon Adams and yanked him down from behind. Especially in the pocket where you have the protection. Quarterbacks have the protection in the pocket. So that did hit his head. And then that certainly was enough to be a horse collar penalty.
Yeah,
Didn't see a flag on the field, though.
No, and the eye in the sky from the league, they can't add a call.
No.
But either way.
But if it's a quarterback situation and he has the pocket protection, the eye in the sky can, in real time, communicate to the head official and call that penalty.
You know, and we've talked about situations in the score zone where Ottawa's taken penalties on the offensive side. That is a massive, massive penalty on the defensive side. James Butler, in a good old-fashioned pile down near the goal line, gets to about the 2. And more laundry.
Yeah, you know, the one thing I would say, though, is the officials have got to, in this scenario, you know, make sure that they're not letting this go too long. I mean, this is where you can get some injuries, guys rolling on each other's legs here. And you see that hit coming in late from Suk Chung. That, I mean, it's not late because there's been no whistle, but if you blow that, like, forward progress is done.
Yeah.
That was done a few seconds ago.
And it looks like the penalty's going against Ottawa.
But when the
objectionable conduct, Ottawa 28. After distance to the goal, it will be first down, and this is a misconduct foul.
Patrick Level's coming out of the game, but he wasn't the penalized player.
That
Frankie
was
Griffin.
that was a retaliation on Suk Chung for Chung hitting the edge of the pile there.
Antonio Pipkin pushes into the end zone for the Lions. His second rushing touchdown of the evening. BC in full control.
You know, and the Lions have played well, so I don't take anything away from the Lions, but you mentioned the mistakes made inside the 20-yard line offensively and defensively by a struggling Red Blacks team. I mean, this is how you walk out of a building and go, how did that happen? Because we could play with these guys, and you go, well, we had a penalty on the 5-yard line. That took us, it turned into a field goal. Then we had a run for 37 yards in a good drive that was a holding call, and those things add up. And so does the score for the opposition when you make those mistakes.
Short drive for the Lions, 8 plays, 35-yard setup by the Terry Williams 29-yard punt return. Sean White makes it a 22-point game. Suk Chung with the lead block on the touchdown and the celebration after. Lions are in control. Looks like Lucky is done for the night. He tried, but fortunately for the Lions, it doesn't appear that the injury is nearly as serious as they first thought when it happened.
And now we know where it is.
Yeah.
It's on his ankle.
Curious to see what the entrance will look like the next time for Lucky Whitehead. Stephen Flynn's out with a kick. Dedman takes it at his own 12-yard line. Dedman looking for some room. Brought down. Jordan Williams in on the tackle at the 40-yard line. Lucky Whitehead did his part before exiting this game. His Lions in control. It's been a fun season of Friday Night Football. We throw a little trivia at you every one of these games. So let's ask you, Glenn, who holds the Friday Night Football single game rushing yards record?
Sean Millington.
Boy, that was fast.
I just got a buzzer from Chris Hendricks, our producer, down below in my ear saying, no, that was incorrect.
Well, that was a good guess.
Corey Philpott.
Well, we're in BC. Well, another buzzer. Now, big hit across the middle of the field on that reception. The ball looked like it may have been incomplete, but Rick Campbell keeps the flag in his pocket. Now, Nick Arbuckle throws it up to Darvin Adams, who makes the reception at the 32-yard line. Big gain on the play. I'm surprised after that hit when the ball came out that Rick Campbell didn't throw the flag there.
And they rushed it and threw a back shoulder throw right away to Darvin Adams out here.
27-yard gain on the play. Pressure that time. Arbuckle underthrows it. Again, Ottawa back near the red zone. They haven't managed to get it into the end zone yet tonight. They've had to settle for 4 field goals. With 7.5 minutes to go, you'd have to think they're in 3-down territory now.
Absolutely now. Playoff lives in the balance, and 3-down football rest of the way. Taking some shots too.
2nd and 10. BC rushing 4. Arbuckle scrambles to the right. Menard in hot pursuit. Arbuckle throws it, and it is intercepted. Gary Peters with the interception. Arbuckle had stayed turnover free, but it ends there. The Lions getting it done in all 3 phases tonight. This time the defense comes up with its first interception in 3 games.
Number 5 for Gary Peters. And his defensive coordinator, Ryan Phillips, had 47 in his career. So he gets excited after this interception on the roll. And I know it's desperation time for Arbuckle, but that interception, number 5 for Peters. Had a great talk with Ryan Phillips about how he's pretty emotional down there on the sidelines. Up and down.
Butler with the carry. Big gain on the play. Abdul Kana brings him down, but not before he gets close to first down yardage.
Had him on Zoom this week and talking to him about how he shows his emotion on the field. He says, I'm not going to change. Like when it doesn't go well, and he's quite animated down there. And then when it does go well, you see the other side of it, and he's animated there too. And he loves to get in the dances with us. And I said, so, you know, what's the concern? He said, well, my mom tells me that I have to have better body language. She's at the game tonight somewhere, but Cheryl Cox said she is on her son about always being positive down there.
And it's her birthday, so we would like to wish her a happy birthday. Looks like it's going to end well for her son's team, especially if James Butler continues with that type of success on first down. Another first down for BC's running back.
I love it how moms are always going to just be your toughest critics, and you're behind you 100%, and be supporting you like no one else too. And Ryan Phillips saying, you know, she will walk over to the tunnel at halftime and talk to me from the top ring and say, hey, your body language is negative. Make sure you change that.
He says the biggest thing he's learned as a coordinator is patience.
Yeah, exactly.
This time to give again. Butler makes another man miss. Turned what could have been a tackle for loss into a 2-yard gain.
Yeah, this is where you want to grind it down now if you're the BC Lions. You get down to that run game, and Ottawa knows it too. So just beat your man, grind the clock down, walk away with the W. That's the plan for the BC Lions.
84 yards rushing for Butler on the evening, along with 25 yards through the air. He's had 1 touchdown as well, and 30 touches in the last 2 games. So this is a bit of a twist for this offense, and it's paying dividends. Adams this time drops back to pass. Looking for Dominic Rhymes. There was some contact on the play, but the throw behind him falls incomplete, and BC will punt.
But a good game for Rhymes. I mean, Rhymes targeted, that was the 6th time, and he has 5 catches, another 100-yard game for Dominic Rhymes. He came into this week 2nd behind Jalen Ackland, who, by the way, quiet night for Jalen Ackland. But
they were all passed by Dalton Schoen coming into this game, but now Rhymes back atop the leaderboard. Flintoff back to punt. Sends this one near the sideline. Dedman takes it on the hop at his own 14. Runs out of bounds after a short gain.
Yeah, so with 100 yards, over 100 yards for Rhymes again tonight, he will move into the #1 spot. It was Jalen Eklund 1, Rhymes 2, Dalton Schoen, who played earlier tonight. He's now in that #2 spot, but Eklund, real quiet night for him. I mean, targeted twice, 2 catches, just 9 yards.
Has BC done anything special that you've seen, or is it just more a case of pressure?
No. And it's been matched up against Gary Peters. Yeah, pressure and pretty good coverage out there by the veteran corner.
Peters again with his 5th interception. You know, last year he started every game. It was the only BC DB not to have an interception. And believe me, they let him know about it. Arbuckle with an open receiver. That is Hardy.
Justin Hardy with the reception.
Yeah, that's the worst. You know what makes it even worse is when you don't have one as a DB, a starting DB, and like a D lineman has 1 or 2. You just cannot live that down.
Well, and he was so close and dropped a few, so that makes it worse. Arbuckle with pressure. Affected as he threw the ball. Got 1 hop. Josh Woods there in the area for BC. Not sure if Arbuckle's arm got hit. Brings up 2nd and 10.
But Peters with 5 this year. That starts to move him up the leaderboard too. He'll be in the top 5 in the interception department. You get TJ Lee back a couple of games ago on that opposite side halfback spot. He's a good veteran.
BC bringing 5 all over Arbuckle. He gets it out. That's Jackson Bennett with the reception. Comes up short of the first down before being tackled by Ben Hladek, Luchez Purifoy, and a host of others. But you know Ottawa's going to go for it here with just over 3 minutes to play.
Oh, yeah. Hot seat's getting hotter over there.
Yeah, there's no doubt. And again, they can't be eliminated from the playoffs after this game, but it'll take a minor miracle at that point. And a long week as well before their next game. So there's going to be a lot of conversation in the nation's capital. Darvin Adams comes back and makes a nice catch on the final play before the 3-minute warning. When we come back, BC looks to put the finishing touches to their 10th victory of the season. Well, we asked you who is the Friday Night Football record holder for most rushing yards in a single game. You're 0 for 2.
Yeah, I was wrong team, wrong.
But it happened here.
Yes.
Fred Reed, the Red Blacks running back coach, with the Friday Night Football record, 260 yards. There he is. He remembers.
260.
That's a good number.
Man.
BC pressuring Arbuckle again, but he finds Tavon Smith.
Bombers teams can run the football, and Fred Reed.
Has Milt Stiegel been the answer to any of these questions?
No, but I noticed in the animation that he's now featured twice. And I'm wondering if that was his doing, or...
He'll tell you he blocked really well for Fred in that game, and you know, we know Milt probably didn't block.
Yeah, I'm not buying that. So, hey, in the world today where we make up our own truth, that can be his if he wants it.
Justin Hardy with the reception. Picks up a first down for Ottawa as it is 1st and 10 for the Red Blacks from BC's 7-yard line. Hardy's had a pretty good afternoon. He is Tavon Smith for Ottawa. This time a wide open Tavon Smith for his first touchdown of the season. The first touchdown of the game for the Ottawa Red Blacks with inside of 2 minutes remaining.
So you go for 2 here. Are they going to go for 2? And no, they're going to kick the extra point.
Yeah, the extra point will make it a 15-point game.
Yeah, no, so that's to 2 possessions, and it's your percentage of success, your success rate percentage for an extra point higher than the 2-point convert, even though they've moved that closer to the goal line last few years.
That gets Nick Arbuckle right to 300 yards on the evening. Lewis Ward with the BAT. It's up and it's good. And it pulls Ottawa.
You have to make it a 2-point game. Sorry, forehand. Go ahead.
7-play, 80-yard drive, and it pulls Ottawa to within 2 scores. Time now for the Advil play of the game.
Not Fred Reed?
No, not Mill blocking either.
No, this is the first half where Vernon Adams, again, we talked about, he played his best first half of football this season. And on the run, going to his left, found Dominique Grimes down the sideline. That turned into a touchdown by Antonio Pipkin, and big lead for the Lions.
BC expecting the onside kick here, you would think, with inside of 2 minutes to play in a 2-score game. Getting final instructions. Got to keep fighting if you're Ottawa here.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
There's going to be a lot of discussion around Paul LaPolice over the course of the next week and change. What advice do you give?
To Paul, to the coach, you mean, or to Coach LaPolice, or to the organization, or to the players? I mean, you just keep playing. You keep going to work, and you keep doing your thing. I mean, that's out of your control. At the end of the day, I mean, whether you're a coach or a player, all you can control is your work ethic and your work habits. And
he was asked about it and basically said that if that's what you care about, you don't coach. You don't get into coaching.
Right.
That kind of pressure is part of it, and he's certainly feeling it. Lewis Ward setting up for the onside kick here. 2 kickers, actually. Ward turns around, goes to his right, and BC recovers. Dominic Grimes falls on it, and BC will take over.
Kick it to the surest hands in the team. he shortstopped that, made sure he took that. The idea there for Ward is to try to top the ball so that it'll hit and bounce high up in the air. So there's 2 kind of approaches. One is to try to sky it and then tip it on its way out. The other is, and he didn't get the bounce that he wanted. Because those are direct bounces right to Rhymes. He wanted that second one to pop straight up in the air.
And right-footed kicker kicking right, that's a little more difficult to do as well. Let's see what BC does here. I would imagine a steady diet of James Butler to close this one out.
Go ahead.
Ottawa ready for it. Butler squirts out of there. Still winds up getting 5. 2 games tonight. We're not done. CFL on TSN action wraps up week 17 tomorrow with doubleheader action. It's the Alouettes kicking off the afternoon with a battle against the Elks, followed by an Argonauts Stampeders showdown. It all begins at 4 Eastern, 1 Pacific, only on TSN.
So Saskatchewan loses earlier tonight in Winnipeg. The Elks, if they can find a way to beat Montreal tomorrow night, wow, does that become interesting?
Oh, yeah. After everything the Elks have been through and the amount of roster change they've had this season, going back and forth, trying to figure out what it looks like. And Kenny Lawler's back in the lineup for Edmonton as well. So never say never in the CFL. Adams, this time, ball is knocked down on 2nd and 5.
So with a minute 42, we'll give the Lions the win, even though it's 2 possession and it could be crazy, but we'll give them the win. They go to 10 and 4. Calgary plays tomorrow. Toronto. That's going to be a good one. That's going to be a draw-out dogfight. So, and then the Riders, though, that's what you're talking about. Edmonton, just 2 wins back for the crossover spot. Hamilton watching both.
BC choosing not to go for the 45-yard field goal and instead bringing Stefan Flintoff on to attempt to pin Ottawa in deep. Flintoff aims for the sidelines. Perfect. Gets it inside the 15. Right decision?
Yeah, I mean, you know, if you get a big return, you've got Dedmon back there. I think that was probably the concern for Rick Campbell, is to, you know, a missed field goal or a blocked field goal, obviously, but a missed field goal with a big return, and all of a sudden there is time for a miracle for the Red Blacks. Another onside kick attempt. They get that. They probably have about a minute to go. So this means Nick Arbuckle now has to drive the field twice. So a sound choice in the world of managing a game.
All right, expect Ottawa to push the ball at some point here, trying to eat up big chunks of yardage. It's going to be difficult to just check the ball down to points here. Arbuckle looking over the middle, has a completion. Jalen Ackland, been quiet tonight. That's his longest reception.
Well, and the Lions are going to drop way off too. They're going to give him a lot more room to these intermediate routes, 12 to 15 yards. They're going to be available.
20-yard gain now to the 34-yard line. Arbuckle dropping back. BC sending only 4. Devon Smith has the reception. Pushed out of bounds by Jalen Edwards Cooper.
But there's a building block right there, Devon Smith. I mean, and the Red Blacks have a bunch of them. They've got one of the top receivers in the league on their roster, and Jalen Ackland. And we've all been kind of watching Devon Smith's development from Edmonton and tryouts in the NFL and then back, and know what his potential is. He's had some catches tonight.
Arbuckle dropping back on second down. Has Shaq Johnson, the former BC Lion, down the left sideline. Arbuckle looking fairly comfortable here. Nice adjustment on the play by Johnson. Arbuckle drops back again. He's being pressured and drops. Looks like they're calling it a sack, saying his knee was down before the ball got out of his hand. That's David Menard again, his second of the night.
Plus, an underhand throw forward is still a forward pass, and it was behind the line of scrimmage, which means it would have, with no receiver near the ball, which meant this is an intentional grounding again.
Clearly his knee was down before the ball got out. Menard with the signature celebration. Arbuckle now on second and very long, finds Ackland again. Ackland close to first down yardage. Going to come up a couple of yards short at the BC 40. 15-yard gain. Ottawa will line up on 3rd and 2, but there's an injured BC Lion way back. This time it is Menard. Looks like they're taking a look at his hand. You said it. Are you suggesting that's an I'm tired injury?
Well, or maybe let's regroup because they've completed 3 in a row and there's still over a minute to go. Well, it looks like he did kind of land on his hand, so we'll give him benefit of the doubt.
Such a cynic, Glenn.
Well, I just know. I mean, they've actually tried to avoid it, and there's rules for delay of game and things now. But back in the day, man, there was designated go down on a knee rotation guys that if a drive started and started to look like you were in trouble, you took a knee and you regrouped, and it was like an extra timeout.
The legendary Don Matthews never would have done that. 3rd and 2, and the ball to Ackland is incomplete. BC will take over with 29 seconds remaining.
He's trying to argue that he caught it, saying that it rolled up his arm, not on the turf. Let's take a look.
Remember that Ottawa already lost the challenge. No, that ball's on the ground.
No, that bounced. Correct call by the officials.
And Ottawa's also used their timeout in this half, so BC should be able to just take a knee and wrap this one up.
He held on to my...
Maybe what Ackland was arguing was that he thought he was interfered with.
Well, there was contact early.
Yeah, he was upset with that, not necessarily that he was trying to sell that he caught it. Okay, Calgary, can you match? We'll see you tomorrow.
An important performance for Vernon Adams and the BC Lions, especially their offense. This was a team that got so excited earlier this year. Then 2 weeks ago in Calgary, they thought that was the answer.
I agree. And, you know, great first half for Vernon Adams. A couple of good drives in this second with a good lead, comfortable lead. But a real important game to, you know, get the trust of his teammates again, and better play by the O-line. Suk Chung helped.
Adams and the Lions with touchdowns on 3 of their first 4 drives, and that really set the tone for that group and got them out and running. As for Ottawa, just so many of the same mistakes that have plagued them to this point. You know, they get into score zones and they take penalties, and tough way for their season to go, and this has really been what we've seen all year. Rick Campbell improves to 4-0 against his former team. His team improves to 10-4 on the season. BC winds up getting their magic number down to 3. Any combination of 3 BC wins and Calgary losses means the Lions will host the Western semifinal. BC under Vernon Adams has now won 2 of their last 3 games. Their offense looks to be back in sync. Ottawa, meanwhile, will face plenty of questions over the course of the next week. Final score, BC 34, Ottawa 19. Sports Center with Sarah Davis and Jermaine Franklin is next.
We're going to start you off with the CFL, the Riders and Bombers. The Riders, they've been struggling lately, just 2 wins in their last 9 games. They were trying to get on track against, well,
they're facing the Blue Bombers, who have only lost 2 games this season. Their last loss came in Hamilton. Then they had a week to regroup on a bye week, and now here they are back at IG Field, and, well, let's just say their offense definitely regrouped. And Winnipeg was looking to sweep the season series and clinch a home playoff game. We pick it up 3-zip Riders in the first quarter. Zach Collaros looking deep. Rashid Bailey falling in the end zone. Still manages to haul it in for the 36-yard touchdown. Makes it 7-3 Bombers. Cody Fajardo, he has lost his last 6 games against Winnipeg, and the Riders driving before the half. He looks for Tevin Jones, but Jones doesn't know where the ball is. What is happening? He actually stops running, and Jamal Parker picks it off. Jones was looking back at Fajardo as the ball's in the air. It was a strange play. Bombers driving after the turnover, and Collaros finds Nick Dembski for the touchdown. Dembski's 5th straight game with a score. The Bombers up 17-3 at the break. Now the Riders facing 3rd and 1 in the 3rd quarter. Fajardo breaks a tackle and gets in for the touchdown. That cuts the lead to 7. Now 11 minutes to play in the 4th. Winnipeg driving.
The 42 Saskatchewan. They can turn things around quickly. And how's it look to the end zone for Dembski again? And now 2 touchdowns again for Nick Dembski.
Dembski now just 1 touchdown behind his teammate Dalton Schoen for the team lead. And Schoen, well, he wants to put some distance between them. 9 minutes to go. Schoen makes a great catch. And watch this, he cuts in, gets in the end zone. 64 yards, his 11th touchdown of the season. The Bombers sweep the season series and clinch a home playoff game as they beat the Riders 31-13. That was the final of this one.
I love playing at home. I mean, yeah, I love playing in front of our fans. Our fans bring just so much energy, and you know, when you score that touchdown, all they want to do is just jump around and yell and scream. So I mean, for me, that's the best feeling ever. So you know, I love seeing my teammates score touchdowns too. And Dalton had an incredible touchdown today. I was a spectator for it, so you know, I'm sorry, I'll block for you next time. But yeah, it was an amazing game today. To lock up that home playoff game, it obviously means a lot for us in there and for everybody in the community and you know, all Bomber Nation.
Let's head out west for Red Blacks Lions. BC is just 1-3 without Nathan Rourke as their starting QB this season, as Vernon Adams Jr. makes his third career start as a Leo. Opening frame, Adams under pressure, spins out of the pocket, pump fakes, and turns upfield for a 24-yard pickup. Wow, Adams has 4 career wins against Ottawa, tied for his most against any opponent, but he's still looking for his first touchdown as a Lion.
Good start for Jacob Scarfoni.
You see 1st and 10 at their 13-yard line. Lions knocking on the door. Adams rolls to his right, has an open receiver. It is a touchdown. Keon Hatcher puts BC up 6-0.
There it is. Adams finds Keon Hatcher for his first touchdown with BC, and that puts the Lions up 7 early. All right, late in the half, Leo's up 11. Adams steps up in the pocket and drops it in the bucket to Dominique Rhymes. A 35-yard catch by the Lions' leading receiver sets up 1st and goal for the Lions. They punched it in to go up 18 at the break. Lucky Whitehead is known for his entrances, got some help coming into this game. Of course, as he pays his respects on National Truth and Reconciliation Day, opening play of the 3rd quarter, Adams slips and still launches one deep to Whitehead for a massive gain. Whitehead's 54-yard catch puts the Lions in the red zone. Couple plays later, 1st and goal, James Butler takes the handoff, but Whitehead gets rolled up on at the end of the play. He had to be helped to the sideline with a right ankle injury, but he did manage to return, which is good news. 4th quarter, Lions up 15. Adams looks to Whitehead in the end zone, but it's incomplete. That was Whitehead's final play of the game as he limps off the field. That's not very good news. 3 plays later, Antonio Pickton ices the game with his 2nd rushing TD of the night. Lions pick up their 10th win. And here's an updated look at the CFL standings. With the win over the Riders, the Blue Bombers secure a home playoff game as they attempt to three-peat as Grey Cup champs. The East Division remains wide open. And with more, here's Kate Burness in the panel.
Alongside David Sanchez, Dave Naylor, Milt Stiegel, and what a way to open up Week 17 in the CFL. Let's start with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers taking on the Saskatchewan Roughriders. And Dave, for the Bombers, coming off their worst loss of the season against the Hamilton Tiger Cats, they had an entire bye week to think about it, and then they go in and they dominate the Riders, getting back on track and sweeping the season series.
Yeah, I don't want to say they toyed with the Riders, but it felt like that at times. You know, they got out front. When the Riders made a push in the second half, they just kind of flicked the switch and put them away. And I think we saw offensively a lot from the Bombers here in this game. When we saw Zach Caleros air it out as much as we've seen him air it out in any game this season, and yet they were still also very effective in the run game. And Brady Oliveira got rolling, got some big runs, and really the combination of it all put this one out of reach. The big challenge for Winnipeg here, remember, this is the team that went the first 9 or 10 weeks of the season without a bye, and you're wondering if they're getting ground up a little bit. Then they get some injuries. They got to finish the back half of this schedule looking fresh. Everyone knows what this is about. This is about getting to a 3rd straight Grey Cup and winning it. We've seen teams that when they get out in front after Labor Day, they can't keep that pace up the rest of the way. And that's why I think this is an important game for Winnipeg, coming off that loss in Hamilton, showing them that they're going to finish strong.
And for the Riders, I mean, I could talk about a lot what they did in this game, what they didn't do. You know, Cody Fajardo still 1 touchdown pass in his last 6 opportunities against Winnipeg. They get 5 turnovers this game. But I want to talk more about what this loss, how this impacts them. When you talk about the Grey Cup, to make it to the Grey Cup, you have to do what first? Get in the playoffs. This team right now is not looking like a playoff contender. It's not looking like a team that's going to make the playoffs. Their last 10 games, they are 2-8. There are some concerns right now. They go and play Hamilton next week. They lose that game, and I don't think they even control their own destiny. So they have some problems. They have to get some things fixed there quickly if they want to make the playoffs. And if they do make the playoffs, they want to be able to do some damage, because right now they're not a good team.
In the later game, the BC Lions taking care of business against the Ottawa REDBLACKS. And for the Lions, they were coming off a real lackluster performance against Calgary, especially on the offensive side of the ball, but just a really nice bounce-back game for them.
Yeah, and, you know, we expect Vernon to get better, you know, the longer he's here. And I don't worry about mistakes. I don't think Vernon's listening to me for his quarterback advice, but if I was to talk to him, I would say, young man, don't worry about making mistakes. Be great and use your skill set that's above most in this league and make big plays. And that because the reason is that's how this team's going to win a Grey Cup. If he's consistent, they might get in the playoffs, have a home game, but they're not going to beat the Bombers in Winnipeg with a consistent Vernon Adams. But with some of the stuff we saw tonight, the way he was decisive with making big throws down the field, the way he's decisive with dropping back and using his legs and just taking off, that's stuff that most quarterbacks in this league, especially the leg stuff, they can't do. And I really think he needs to embrace that because for them to get ultimately where they want to go, he's got to be that VA. Don't worry about the mistakes. Go out and make big plays.
And on the opposite side, it will be fascinating to see if there will be any moves when it comes to the Ottawa REDBLACKS. Yet another defeat, but a great way to start out week number 17 in the CFL as we send it back to SportsCenter.
Got that right. And another doubleheader Saturday on TSN. Here are the odds powered by FanDuel. The Alouettes are 4-point road favorites in Edmonton. The Elks still looking for their first win at home since 2019. Then it's the Argos as 5.5-point underdogs in Calgary. See it on TSN starting at 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific.